The winter banner is finally here, so let's see who's on this banner. We did see the silhouettes last night, and it looked like Winter Claude, which would be all kinds of ironic. And it also looked like Yunaka to me, so maybe we get some Engage, maybe we get some 3 houses, and who knows, maybe we get like a Telly's character thrown in there as well. Either way, let's just jump in and see what we're dealing with. Zappy Winter Festival, that's literally Yunaka. Oh my gosh. Is she going to be the one that takes over Twitter this year? There, first one up is Yunaka. Okay, so let's start at the top. But I did already see the physical version of Occultist Strike, which I was just talking about, so I'm a bit nervous already. Okay, so essentially what this weapon does is enables Canto Distance Max 3, which is already insane. It means that she's be super mobile and just difficult to deal with. Like, we've already seen how good this could be on other units, so that's already scary. But then we have Slaying, and then she gets +5 to all stats if your HP is greater than or equal to 25%. Pretty standard stuff there. But she gets an additional attack and speed up to 9, and it's going to be based off how many allies are adjacent to you. So essentially she wants to be solo so that she can get that max 9 speed. If she's surrounded by allies, it's going to go down. So it can go down to like 0 technically, but typically you're going to get a decent amount of speed there as well. You're going to get offensive no follow-up. You're going to get offensive tempo, so you're going to be able to neutralize guard, which is really strong. So already looking really busted, but then we get to the absolutely absurd things. And then if she initiates combat, she gets to reduce the damage reduction of foes by X%, where X is times 30, right? So it's going to be based off how many spaces she moved. So if she moves up to 3 spaces, she can get 3 times 30, or she could get 90% damage reduction piercing. That's right, 90%. It's technically a little bit less than what Sonic can get, but getting 90% that easily, right? There's no like penalty condition or anything like that you can play around. It's literally just, did she move? Which is absurd. But then also she'll get damage reduction based off how many spaces she moved as well. So she can get up to 90% damage reduction also. And then lastly, she does have a cool Divine Bane effect, which we kind of all called, right? Because like in Engage, Yunaka plays really well into Fog. So if she has any type of Divine Bane effect around her within 2 spaces, automatically equals 3. So that means that if she doesn't actually have to move 3 spaces, if like, let's say like Brave Corrin drops her terrain, or like there's Flared Sparrow terrain, which she can do herself, or if like Ratatosker puts down her terrain, then you can just immediately get that full damage reduction and damage reduction piercing, which is nuts. And then of course she has Dagger 7. This weapon's already just completely and utterly bonkers. It has everything you could possibly want in this, right? You have stats, you get additional stats, so you have that speed creep, you have anti-guard, you have offensive no follow-up, you have damage reduction piercing, and lots of damage reduction. So like, this unit is just absolutely absurd just from her weapon alone. But then we also have Luna and Flared Sparrow, which is really good because that would be her best A skill. But that's not enough, right? We have to introduce a new skill, which is going to make her even more busted, and that's Assassin Strike. And what this is essentially going to do is very much like a Occultist Strike. You're going to get 7 damage as the combat starts, and then you're also going to get inflict speed and defense -4 on the foe in combat, and then you get 20% true damage based off the foe's defense. And then lastly, she has Fatal Smoke. So this unit is just busted. Like, this unit is so absurdly busted. Oh my god, this unit is insane. When it comes to roles, obviously her main role is going to be nuking. That is where she's going to just shine. Obviously, she's also really good at hit and run, right? Because she has that Canto distance, so she can go in, hit something really hard, and if there's no Canto control, she can get all the way out as well, which is really powerful on a ranged unit. She just has an absurd amount of damage, so she's going to kill a ton of different things with pretty good ease, considering that she is 90% DR as well, which means it's going to be pretty difficult to kill her. You really, really need DR piercing, which is just going up in value like every single banner, essentially. When it comes to game modes, I think that Yunaka is going to really shine in Ether Raids. I think that's where she's going to be the best at. And the reason for that is very simple, right? She wants to move 3 spaces to activate her full effect, or she wants terrain. What this really means is that she's going to be really good in Ether Raid's defense, especially if you can make her engage first, right? So that she is solo. She can go in, destroy something, probably survive, and then also put down all the fire, which means that if she gets dance, she can get like additional. She'll automatically activate her weapon at its full power because of Flared Sparrow being down. So that will just allow her to keep going off, and she'll just fit really well into like a Cav line essentially, which has been getting more and more popular with every single banner because they are just pushing Cavs so hard right now. She can also be really good in Ether Raid's offense because she is a dagger unit, meaning that she can use Disarm Trap 4. Now, obviously, that's a bit redundant with the NFU, but even so, like just being able to go in, disarm a trap, and just snipe something and then get out of there is really good. So I think she'll excel there a ton as well. And then lastly, Summer Duels, she could definitely be used. I don't know how great she'll be there. I mean, she'll be a really good nuke, but like being a Cav definitely is a bit rough in SD at the moment, but that could change. And also, if you're using Alencia, it's not as bad. So there's definitely options to see her in SD as well. Overall, just a busted unit. Like, oh my god, they went full out for Yunaka. Let's move on to our next unit. Up next is Edelgard. Oh my god, we have Christmas Edelgard. Wow, she actually looks really good. I like this art a lot. Oh my gosh, Satachi must be freaking out. DTM must be everybody who's an Edelgard fan is freaking out. We have a blue lance armor here. Let's see what she can do. Another armored Edelgard, this time a lance though, so it is mixing up a little bit. And we have our preference weapon, Black Yule Lance. Okay, so what this essentially does is you get slaying, and then for HP is greater than or equal to 25%, and she initiates combat. She'll apply Divine Flame on 5 spaces in a line centered on the unit, and then also 5 spaces behind that unit, depending on which direction you attack. This is absurd already, right? This is just absolutely ridiculous. Flare Spare was already really good, but now you can apply 2 levels of it. And why this is really good is because a lot of times you will hit the first unit, but you really want Divine Flame in the back so it can slow down those units even more. So this can like completely just rob units of their mobility, ranged units. So that's already really scary. But then she'll also get attack and defense minus X on the foe, where it's 15, but it's also minus the number of adjacent allies times 2 and the minimum of 6. So essentially what that means is that she wants to be solo. She wants to be going in by herself, destroying people so she can be at max power. But if that wasn't enough, she also gets special cooldown count minus Y, right? We got to use more variables. And Y will be the number of spaces she's moved from start position to end position before her first attack, or whoever initiated combat. Max of 3. That's really strong, because if you can use that with Gale Force, that means you essentially have Gale Force at 1 cooldown, and then you will hit, and then Gale Force is charged. So that's already really powerful. And of course, if you have Divine Flame already down, it automatically counts as 3. So like on your second combat, you don't really have to worry about moving because Divine Flame will already be down, and then you just get the max of 3 again, which is really good. But that's not it. There's more. Of course there's more. You also get damage reduction piercing equal to X%, where X equals 100 minus the number of allies adjacent to you times 30 during combat. What this means essentially is, once again, Edelgard really wants to be solo. The more solo she is, the more damage reduction piercing she's going to get. If she's completely by herself, she'll get 100%. If she has one person, it's 70%, 2 people, 40%, and then down from there. So obviously, just want to be alone. And then another effect, if unit has weapon triangle advantage, or if the foe is in a space where there's already fire, she will neutralize miracle effects. She's just absurd. This is so utterly ridiculously broken weapon. This just has literally everything you could want in a weapon, pretty much, for like gale forcing or for like hit and run even. Like, this weapon is just completely and utterly busted. Oh my god, this is insane. But we also have a new special, Armored Blaze. And what this essentially is, this is like Armored Beacon, but instead of it being for far saving, this is for near saving. So if a unit's range, if the foe's range is equal to 1, you'll get that non-pierceable DR when this is either charged or when the foe special is charged. And this is cool. I'm glad to see this here because it has been quite a while and we hadn't gotten like a near save version of it. So it's cool to see this being added into the game. But we also have another new skill, Attack Defense Prime 4. That's right, the new Prime skill is here, the Attack Defense variant, and this is obviously a very good skill. Attack Speed Prime 4 kind of broke the game for a little bit because it was just completely and utterly overtuned, and so now we have the defense version, which is going to be very good. But then we also have a preference skill here with Raging Tempest. And what this essentially is this is just a powered version of Edelgard's preference skill, which was already absurdly good, so I don't know why they had to make it better, but they did. And what this essentially is going to do is, if Edelgard's HP is 100%, or if there's any foe within 3 columns or 3 rows of her, so like pretty much all the time, she'll get extra movement, she gets 1 space of extra movement, and she gets charged. So she essentially got like Assault Troop built into her B skill, which is absurd because it opens up her C skill, obviously. But then also she's going to inflict attack defense minus 5 on the foe, and she's going to get 15% true damage based off her attack, but not with AoEs, and then she'll get a free Gale Force. This is absurd. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that this banner, but like, this is just completely and utterly disgustingly absurd. The fact that you could just get a free Gale Force was already really strong, but the fact that now you get true damage, you get stats, you get extra movement and charge with like essentially no condition based like really on it. Like, the condition is absurdly easy to activate. This is just disgusting. This is disgustingly good. Like, this is your new Gale Force Queen. This is your new everything. She is going to be so ridiculously powerful. And then lastly, we have Defense Resploy 3, because why not put, one more amazing fodder onto this unit who is already just completely busted. When it comes to roles, Edelgard's main thing is going to be Gale Force once again. She can do a lot of other things as well because this unit just has like literally everything in her kit. But Gale Force is going to be exceptionally good for her because she has a lot of the weaknesses of Summer Edelgard removed, right? She's going to be able to get through damage reduction, which is a thing that could definitely struggle, like that Summer Edelgard can definitely struggle with. She has charge built in, so you don't have to worry about that. You can run some other C skills, which is very nice as well. You get additional true damage, which is going to help her with some killing power. You just get literally like everything. Like it's ridiculous. You even get fire, so it makes it so that it's really difficult to follow you. So I think like when it comes to her best role, Gale Force is obviously going to be the number one. I think number two is actually hit and run because of those flame tiles she could put down. She's going to be very effective at just going in, killing one or two things, and then getting out, which is something Summer Edelgard kind of like invented in some ways. Like Assault Troop really allowed Edelgard to be very mobile, and now this unit can do the same, but even better. She's also going to be an amazing save unit. I think she could be a great like near save unit in particular because she has that armored blaze that's going to work really well, and she just has a lot of things going for her when it comes to near saving. She could probably far save as well, but we'll have to test that out just because nukes are just so powerful at range. But I think she could do pretty well there as well. And then of course she's a nuke too, right? Why not, right? She just can do literally everything pretty much. This unit is completely and absurdly broken. When it comes to like what game modes she's going to be really good in, I think E3's offense is going to be her best place just because she can really take advantage of her preference skill. But I could see her being used on E3's defense as like a near save there. And I could even see her being used in some duels as a far save possibly as well. So like there's a lot of options for this unit. She just has like so much going for her. It's kind of nuts. Like I thought Yunaka was going to be by far the best unit on this banner after reading her kit. And then they show Edelgard and I'm like, I don't know who's better now. Like this is just absurd. Let's move on to our next unit, and probably the demo, I'd guess. It's Dimitri! We got Winter Dimitri here. Is he the demo? Did they just do... Oh, no. His art looks so good. Oh my god, his art looks amazing. I do not like that he is a axe cav, though. We already have an axe cav Dimitri. Why couldn't they have made him like a sword or something? I don't know. Like, couldn't you have given us something different? A ranged unit? I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but his art looks so good. Okay, I don't think he's a demote. Do not think he's a demote at all. Okay, let's start at the top with his preference weapon, Blue Yule Axe. Okay, so we have Blue Yule Axe. What this essentially does is you get Canto 2, you get Slaying, and at start of turn, Dimitri's going to give himself a visible bonus of attack and speed plus 6, no follow-up for 1 turn, and then he'll also get all stats plus X, where X is 5 plus 15% of his visible speed at the start of combat, which is really, really strong. It's going to be he's just have an absolute ridiculous amount of stats there. Then he'll also get cooldown count minus Y before his first attack during combat. So he gets like that special jump effect that Dual Ike introduced, and Y is going to be the number of spaces he moves from start position to end position, max of 3. So essentially like he'll move, and the more he moves, the bigger his cooldown is going to be. And then also he has a secondary condition where if he has 4 or more bonuses on himself, not stat bonuses, but like visible bonuses, like the no follow-up little visible bonus, then it will be automatically treated as 3. And then at the end of combat, he'll restore 7 HP to himself. This is a very good weapon, obviously. Like, I don't want to like downplay this. It's a very, very good weapon. You're going to get a ton of stats. You're going to be able to hit really hard. And you're also going to get like a lot of special cooldown, which is really good for Gale Forcing. The one thing I will say, though, is that healing is really, really counteractive to Gale Forcing. It's like, especially if you want to be the initiator, right? You do not want healing. So I think that is kind of a downside there. Let's move on to a new special, No Quarter. This is going to boost damage by X% of units attack with special triggers. If the foe is armored, you get 40% of your attack, and if it's not, then you get 30% of your attack. And then the special triggers, you get to neutralize foes' damage reduction during combat from non-special skills. And this looks like this is inheritable, possibly. If this is inheritable, this is like a big deal. This is very, very powerful. It is probably locked to melee, I would assume, but even so, being able to get damage reduction piercing on melee without having to like, you know, be infantry and rely on special spiral 4 or like physical no follow-up or anything like that is a very big deal because it allows you to have much more build flexibility, especially when it comes to like Omni tanks, right? Omni tanks need damage reduction piercing at the moment. It is so vital. So if you're able to get this and have damage reduction in your piercing in your special, it means that in your beast skill you can run something like NCD4 or like a speed-based damage reduction skill. So that's very, very, very good if it is inheritable. We're not 100% sure, but I do think it is because there is another skill coming after this, which is Barbarity 4. So we also have Attack Speed Prime 4, so like amazing fodder here, obviously. But we have Barbarity 4, which I assume is a preference skill because it has the white border around it. And what this essentially does is if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, you're going to get -4 of all stats on foe during combat. You're going to get 25% true damage based off your attack, but it does not work with AoEs. You get to reduce damage from the foe's first attack by 40% during combat, and it does work as like a brave effect, so if they hit you twice with a brave effect, it will count for both of those. And then also after combat, you're going to get advantage and dodge. And then you'll inflict -6 to all stats on the target and foes within 3 spaces after the next action. This is pretty good. So this definitely makes up for his weapon a little bit, in my opinion, right? You're getting a lot of stuff he wants, which is true damage, which is that damage reduction. It's going to allow him to be more of like a offensive tank, kind of like Legendary Dimitri in many ways, where you want to go in, kill things, and then allow things to, you know, kind of run into you. The cool thing is that Advantage is a status effect, and when it's a status effect, it's like Winter Altina, where it doesn't have an HP condition, which means the healing is not a downside anymore, it's actually good. So that's very cool, and you get Dodge, which is speed-based damage reduction, so you're kind of stacking damage reduction just in the B skill itself, right? And then if you want to, you could even, like, you know, go for some other types of damage reduction from other effects like Rearmed Lucina, right? So that's cool as well. I think this is a pretty powerful preference skill. I still don't think it's as good as, say, Edelgard's preference skill, but it's still very, very nice. I think this is going to be cool, and it's going to allow Dimitri to do some really interesting stuff. Now, when it comes to roles, what does Dimitri really want to do? He could kind of be like a mixed phase tank unit where he can kind of go in, kill some stuff, and then like try to tank everything else. He can Gale Force, but he's not going to really want to be the initiator because of that HP healing. So which that means is, like, if you go in, you're going to really want to run Wings of Mercy 4, which does kind of gut his kit a little bit. You lose a lot of the cool effects that make him such powerful. So while Gale Force is definitely a good option for him, I don't know if it's going to be the best option for him. He can do some hit and run as well, which will be interesting. And he can show up in some game modes as well. I can definitely see him being used in Ether Raid's offense as a Gale Force unit, or as like even like a hit and run unit. As a tank, it's going to be a little bit more questionable because, you know, tanking is so difficult nowadays. But you could use him as like a Vantage unit, which would be really interesting. You're definitely going to need to give him some way to like have a bit of power though to make sure he kills things. The no quarter is definitely going to help with that, but you might need some extra support as well. And then lastly, maybe you could see him in Summoner Duels. He could fit onto Cav lines possibly, but a lot of times you just want really high mobility in SD, so we'll have to see about that one. Okay, let's move on to our final unit of the banner, the Duo or Harmonic. Okay, and the final unit is Double Byleths. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Okay, so if you hadn't checked out DTM's podcast, I was actually making a joke how they were going to do double Corrin for New Year's, and then they do double Byleths for Christmas, so that's pretty funny. Once again, Satachi's wallet is dead. Sucks to be you, Satachi, I guess. Okay, let's start off at the top with their preference weapon, Holy Yule Blade. Okay, here we go. This weapon is absolutely absurd. So what this does is you get Slaying, and then you get Distant Counter, and then if your HP is greater than equal to 25%, you're going to get +5 to all stats during combat. You're going to get an additional bonus to your attack, defense, and resistance equal to 20% of your visible resistance as start combat. So that visible res stat, you're going to get 20% of that. You're also going to get anti-guard built into your weapon. And if the foe's attack can trigger their special, so an offensive special, right? Not like Miracle or anything like that, but like Iceberg or Moonbow or whatever, right? And your res is greater than the foe's res +5. You're going to get a Scowl effect. But this is a super Scowl effect. This isn't a normal Scowl effect. It's actually Scowl plus X, right? So it's going to be X is the number of spaces from start position to end position of whoever initiated combat. Max of 3. So what this means essentially is like if someone moves 3 spaces at you and then attacks in the Byleth, you're going to put -3 special cooldown on them, which is just absurd. Like, it's so strong. That's just gross how good that is. And if you trigger Savior, which you typically will, right? This is an armor unit. It's going to always be treated as 3. You don't even have to worry about how much they move, really, because you're typically going to be triggering Savior, which means you're going to be getting 3, which is just absurd. And then, once again, one more broken effect, because why not? If your HP is greater than 25%, and the foe's range is 2, so if they're a ranged unit, you get a neutralize counter disrupt. So like any kind of like flash effect, any type of swoop effect, anything like that gets turned off. So essentially we just got like better Ascended Fjorm in like every possible way. This weapon is completely and absurdly broken. This is so stupidly good. Just from seeing this weapon alone, I already think he's probably better than Bridal Tiki. So we might have the best far saving the game on our hands. Let's check out the preference special, Supreme Heaven. It's a 2 cooldown special. And what this essentially does is you're going to get damage boosted by X% of your attack, where X is 50% if they're a dragon or beast, or 25% if it's just any other type of unit. So, you know, pretty much like Ruptured Sky. And then also, if your special triggers, you get damage reduction piercing, so that damage reduction is gone. And then if the foe's range equals 2, you're going to get essentially like an armored beacon effect, where you get 30% of non-pierceable DR. I mean, what can you say? This is just really, really, really good, right? It's essentially Armored Beacon with DR piercing. Like, that's really absurd. This unit is looking really, really strong. We have Fire Flood Boost 3, and then we also have a new fighter skill called Weaving Fighter. And this is a bit of an interesting one. This seems to be an upgrade to Wary Fighter, but you get attack and defense -4. Both you and your enemy can't not make a follow-up attack, but you also get damage reduction based off if the foe can make a follow-up attack or not. So essentially, if they have like some kind of no follow-up effect, or they have like a guaranteed follow-up attack and they win a speed check, you'll get 80% damage reduction. Otherwise, you'll get 40% damage reduction against the foe's first attack. But you also get an additional 40% damage reduction against their follow-up attack. So that's already pretty strong there. And it does work with Brave hits. So if it's a Brave attack, it will get 80% on 2 hits, and then 40% on the second follow-up attack on 2 hits. So that's pretty interesting there. And then also you'll get 7 HP healing after combat. I'm not too big on this, and the reason for that is pretty simple. Like, this is all pierceable DR, which means that like a lot of times this won't really do all that much. And it also means that you're really like focused on one-shotting as Byleth, right? You really have to kill them in one hit, because there's no way that Byleth is going to be able to get like a double with this attached to them, essentially. So I'm not too big on it. I mean, it can be okay, but I think you're probably just better off like running something different. I'm not sure what yet. You could go Hardy Fighter if you don't want to use like Supreme Heaven, but that's pretty good, so I'd probably use that. Maybe you go for like a different just beast skill there. I'm not too big on this, but maybe I'm wrong and maybe it's actually like decent. And then we have a duo skill. What this essentially does is you're going to get defense res +6 as a visible bonus. You're going to get 80% damage reduction from AoEs, which is nuts. You're going to get Hexblade to Byleth and any ally within 2 spaces for 1 turn. And then Byleth themselves will also get an effect where it neutralizes their armor weakness. I mean, this is a pretty good duo skill. I don't think it's like absurdly over the top powerful, but it's definitely going to be usable, right? And a lot of times in SD, this will be really good because you can kind of like read the opponent and know when they're going to either come in with an AoE special or when they come in with like, you know, duo Crom with the armor effectiveness with like Katria, and you can just pop this and just make yourself way stronger and much more difficult to kill, and also get Hexblade, so it means that it's going to be like easier for Byleth to get that kill in return. So I do think this is a pretty solid duo skill, but I don't think it's like absurd like, you know, duo Thors or like some of the ninjas, right? Okay, so when it comes to roles, what does Byleth really want to do? Byleth is a tank. 100% Byleth just wants to tank. That's their only real role. You could say they offer a little bit of support, but mostly they're just tanking. They want to play that far save role. And so because of that, where do they want to be? They want to be in Eat the Red's offense, Eat the Red's defense, and Summoner duels. I think those are the 3 places you're really going to see Byleth. I think Eat the Red's offense is to be a really good place for Byleth, like maybe outside of Dark Season, right? Probably more in Asher Season so you can avoid Embla. But they pretty much have ways to deal with most of the meta threats in this situation, as they're going to be able to like really kill things with that damage reduction piercing, and they have a lot of effects to turn off like pre-charged specials or like powerful specials, right, and really slow that down. And they also have a decent amount of like damage reduction and stuff, so they should have a good time surviving. And most importantly, they can get past like flash effects, which is really, really big for Eat the Red's offense. When it comes to Eat the Red's defense, I can see them being used there as well. They probably won't be quite as effective, but either way, you're going to need a save, so that's a pretty good role for them. And then lastly, of course, Summoner Duels. This unit is just built to counter so many of the things going on in Summoner Duels and be very versatile in that role, right? Having that Scowl effect already, so you don't really need to bring Veil along. You also get ways to get around sweep effects, so like things like Legendary Yunaka will actually just die to this Byleth in pretty much every situation. I really don't see her one-shotting him ever, and it'll probably just take her out in return. And then also you even get ways to get around AoEs, which is really strong as well. So I think this unit's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I would not be surprised if this is the best far save in the game currently. And of course, we can't end the video without talking about our free-to-play unit. We have Claude. So Claude was that silhouette in the banner, but he is the free-to-play unit. So if you're a massive Claude fan, you just got a really easy +10 to Claude. You just have to get some grails, and you're going to be able to get him. We obviously don't know exactly what he has yet, but I assume because it is Claude, he'll probably have a preference weapon. Okay, let's move on to the final part of the video, should you pull. Now this is really interesting because I'm going to be honest, I think this banner is completely and absurdly broken. Every single unit on this banner is extremely strong. I think Byleth is probably going to be the best far save in the game. New Winter Edelgard is probably the best Gale Forcer and hit and run in the game. Yunaka is possibly one of the best hit and run like dagger units in the game. Like, she's going to be absurd and she's really powerful as a nuke. And then Dimitri is really good, but I don't think he like he's probably not the best at anything, but he's like a very middle of the pack, very good, right? He's just like an overall very solid unit. So this banner is just completely and utterly full of power creep in every single direction. It's just absurd. Also, this banner should be ridiculously good value because it has 4 sparks on it. That's right, 4 sparks. So even if you are a free-to-play player and you don't have Fate Pass, you can spark this banner 4 times, meaning you are guaranteed to get every single unit on this banner if you spend enough orbs. So already there, lots of value. The fodder is absurdly good, so you're getting value there. Even if you get a unit you don't really want, they're going to have a skill that is so valuable, you could put it somewhere at the very least, right? So right there are also just looking like an insane banner, like an absolutely insane banner. Now, when it comes to cons, there are quite a few. Right now, we do have a Sparkable Mythic possible, so if you're like trying to get into Ether Raids and you don't have merges on your Mythic, that's a really great banner to pull. We also have an insane coming up Legendary Mythic banner with like the full rerun of CYL, as well as some just amazing shares like Legendary Veronica, Alencia, and probably Brave Robin. So like if you're looking for that, maybe wait until that banner pops up before you summon here. We also have the New Year's banner coming up in January, which has been absurdly strong as well. So maybe wait for that, because this banner should last long enough for you to be able to see that banner. And then, of course, in February, we have the Anniversary, which is typically like insane as well. So like there's just so many things to summon right now. So if you are not interested in these units, or you're not a big Three Houses fan, or you just don't love Yunaka, do not pull here if these aren't your favorites. Because like there's going to be so much stuff to pull. Even if you don't pull here, there will be other things, I promise you. Now, this banner does look absurd, and I do think if you are interested in any of these units, you should definitely pull, because I think all of them are very, very good and will find some place in the meta because they're just absurd. So definitely take that into consideration. Personally, I will be going pretty hard on this banner. I definitely want like almost everybody, I think. I want one copy of everybody at least. We'll see how good my luck is and to see if I have to go to 4 sparks, but if I do, it's going to be a lot of orbs. But now I'd love to hear from you. How do you feel about this banner? Are you happy that it's a Three Houses Christmas, or would you have liked to see more engage? Either way, make sure to drop a comment down below, letting me know how you feel. And as always, I'd like to thank all my members for all their constant support. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later with more Fire Emblem Heroes.